I have waited 5 long years for 19 inches of Venom, and also the release of Spider-Man 2. One console generation later, I beat this game in 24 hours. This game has one of the easiest platinum trophies ever, and I wouldn't be surprised if almost everyone got it. Welcome to Maximum Completion, where if you pay for a game, we're going to complete the game. I'm going to show you how you can get this platinum trophy and sprinkle my thoughts about the game throughout. Enjoy. I don't usually play games for the story, but this game is definitely the exception. I think all Sony titles are at this point. Every story cutscene is just stunning to observe. Transitions to gameplay are barely noticeable. Facial animations especially look gorgeous, and the voice acting was just tremendous. Spider-Man 2018's story was reminiscent of the 90s animated show. It was him against the Sinister Six, and it had a lot to establish and cover in one game. This game is more in line with Spectacular Spider-Man, with less reasons to have all the villains in one game, and rather focus on specific reasons why each villain is involved. The game has 8 story achievements, and all of them are unlocked automatically. The first of these is Surface Tension, unlocked after the opening. And wow, it was a great opening. Immediately the game set up the dynamic between the Spider-Man and the familiar challenge of having dual identities. Getting to fight Sandman was not only an engaging tutorial, but a good opening to set up the game's secondary antagonist, Kraven the Hunter.
Perhaps a new hunting ground.
My only real issue with this is the cost of setting up Kraven. They killed off the Vulture, Scorpion, Electro, and potentially the Rhino, so that's almost half of the Sinister Six just dead off the bat. Fast forward 14 missions later and you'll get a new suit. Yes, this does refer to the infamous symbiote black suit, and boy did it live up to expectations.
I feel so strong! This thing knows exactly how I like to fight!
One major positive for me was the relationship between Peter and Harry. Now, it was completely obvious about what was going to happen from the get-go, but I did like how Peter and Harry had genuine chemistry, and their relationship was so strained because of the black suit and Harry's impending death. It was engaging to see Peter morph from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man into someone vengeful and given room to really show how destructive he can be.
I'm busting my ass out there trying to save you, and this is what I get?
I said don't.
I saw your story. The truth is, I'm the hero here, not you.
5 missions later, you'll get medicine after beating the lizard.
No wonder your family left you! You're not strong enough!
Having Kraven root out all the evil in these villains is a compelling way to introduce anxiety into a dire situation, as Peter races against time to get rid of the symbiote and save Harry. Now, I haven't said much about Miles, and to be honest, a majority of this game is Peter's story, and Miles is kinda just distance from him. I did kinda have an issue with this, and I will touch on it later on. 3 missions later, you'll get a story achievement related to Miles. Another way is unlocked after Miles is captured and defeats Mr. Negative, one of the main antagonists of the previous title. Now, I did neglect to mention how Miles is trying not to kill him after Mr. Negative did kill his father. Seeing Miles let him go after they fought was kinda silly. I get it, it was a way for Miles to physically and mentally let go of Mr. Negative's hold on him, but why did Kraven let Miles stay alive? It didn't really make sense at all. Kraven could have easily killed Miles. Hell, Black Suit Spider-Man couldn't kill him. It makes zero sense why Miles was kept alive, other than plot. Sure, you could say he was kept alive to lure Spider-Man, but Kraven hunted Peter anyway. He didn't need Miles to lure Peter. So immediately after, you'll unlock the Great Hunt, where you face off against Kraven, and then strip Spider-Man of the symbiote.
All I wanted was to save everyone! MJ! May! Now this city thinks that I'm the problem!
Now this is where the story lost me a bit, and you'll understand my point later on. The game pulls off some Naruto power scale BS, where Spider-Man is as strong as the plot wants him to be. The same Spider-Man in the previous game who took on the Rhino and Scorpion together, took on Dr. Octopus, the Vulture, Tombstone, but now can't fight one guy with even the black suit. Kraven killing villains is used to elevate him as a threat, but for me it falls flat and reduces our protagonist quite a lot. I'll get back to that. So he beats the Lizard, who in this timeline is at his strongest. Then you fight Kraven and he fucks off to nowhere. Now the game pulls a twist and has Miles fight Peter. This is a key issue with the story. It makes Peter almost reliant on Miles to accomplish what he could reasonably do himself. So get this, somehow Miles is strong enough to fight Peter with the symbiote. I don't agree with this approach. It takes away Peter's accomplishments to relinquish the suit himself. And I feel that ultimately it just makes Miles seem more important because he did this in the plot. When in pretty much every other iteration of Spider-Man, Peter has always been able to get rid of the suit himself. It was a personal journey. And now it's taken away from him? It just fell flat with me. Immediately after the next mission, you'll get Leave Us Alone. This is it, the big moment for Venom. And I personally was very pleased. They got Venom right. He was as menacing as he needed to be. It felt like Broly taking on Goku and Vegeta. The fact that I was able to absolutely slaughter people as Venom was completely unexpected and I completely applaud it. Venom was violent, he ate people, and I am glad they didn't make him feel weak. This is kind of my problem though. Kraven was set up as this major menace that Spider-Man couldn't beat even with the symbiote suit. Venom completely annihilates him. Then Peter is only able to beat Venom because of a particle accelerator? You're free to disagree, but I don't think Spider-Man was actually able to beat Kraven, let alone Venom. A couple of missions later, they decide to introduce Scream as a villain. And to be honest, I could not care less about Mary Jane. Speaking of just game design, I find it ridiculous that Mary Jane can one-shot enemies even when they're alert, but Spider-Man can't? Why doesn't he use the tasers that she has?
You're gonna stay the stronger half! What? Don't special anymore?
What? No! You're stronger than me in so many ways! You've been single-handedly holding our lives together!
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Seeing this emotional fight with her and Peter was kinda silly because I feel like they didn't really love each other at all. They just had this funny sort of banter. After finally defeating Scream, you'll unlock I Quit. And I know it's picky, this is a complete nitpick, but at the side mission Crimson Hour, a separate symbiote was stolen to set up Carnage. So having Venom just create symbiotes felt out of place. It doesn't really make sense if you need to get a symbiote from Oscorp, or you can just make symbiotes. Especially since he could have just infected Miles, and he just refused to do so for the plot. Finally, there's Heal the World, the achievement for beating the final mission. I am glad Venom felt like a challenge. He was menacing, and seeing him grow wings was completely unexpected. I feel conflicted with the ending. Throughout the whole story, Miles is pushed upwards as if he's Peter's equal, and frankly, I don't buy it. I don't believe he's earned the same respect for me like Peter did. The whole point was that Miles was meant to be a protege. Yes, he had his one moment with Mr. Negative, but that's it. Then there's the post-credit scene. So we're finally going to get the Green Goblin, and I'm excited for that. I'd love to see what they do with it. And it looks like Dr. Octopus will be making a return. That's great. The problem is, half the Sinister Six are dead. I don't know who they're actually going to put in the team.
The final chapter.
A big question for this game I had was, did it improve upon the original gameplay wise? And the answer is yes, absolutely. On a technical level alone, this game is not only an improvement, it's impressive. Now I'm speaking from a position where I played on the original PS4 game back in 2018. The number one most important thing in a Spider-Man game is the web swinging, and a criticism of Spider-Man 2018 was the lack of advanced modes or advanced controls to make it more difficult, and oh my, did we get what we wanted. Finally, Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 has genuine competition. If you go to the settings, turn off Swing Assist and HUD, you'll have a far greater experience with the game. It's more rewarding and engages you far more than when you have challenging swinging and it's not done for you. I can't comment on the performance for the previous game's remastered edition, but I do know it definitely didn't have almost instantaneous fast travel. There was almost no loading screen throughout the entire game. It all felt seamless. Gameplay wise, I played in performance mode. I'll speak about combat in the later segment. I was extremely impressed with New York. The fact that I can do all this maneuvering so quickly demonstrates the limitations of the PS4. Traffic feels more lively, the environment more detailed, the light just casting better shadows. The fact that all of this looked that good and loaded in that fast was a major positive impression upon me. It's very noticeable, with all cutscenes rendered in-engine, and you just sit there amazed about how smooth it is. As you progress through the game, you'll get experience points. You get this after doing every main mission, side mission, and along with some collectibles. If you've done everything, eventually you'll unlock the amazing achievement. The side quests in this game were some of my favorite parts. Sometimes it's not always about the big action sequences, but the small stuff that Spider-Man gets up to. The FNSM quests in particular were some of my favorites, where Spider-Man just helped out his neighborhood. It was a nice change of pace, and it kept him as someone part of the community and not just disconnected. Collectibles from Sandman, Photo Ops, the Prowler, and Mysteriums all gave you interesting tidbits, which actually gave me a reason to care about why I was collecting, and not just for achievements.
Got an alert from the stash at my old house.
You lived in that penthouse?
Back in their back Prowler days, when I was on Fisk's payroll.
At the end of these, you also get a nice conclusion, which is usually a suit and a fun cutscene, which made them feel worthwhile. This is a much better method than what the Batman Arkham games did, with 400 collectibles and one cutscene. Superior is the subsequent achievement for completing all activities in each district. This is very simple to do post-game, and you have all abilities unlocked and multiple upgrades, especially anti-Venom abilities for clearing out those nests. In my opinion, the best quests were from SNFM. They're the best showcase that captured the feeling of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Whatever you think I did, I didn't.
Your granddaughter's looking for you.
You ever been in love, Spider-Man?
Maybe.
You get to help an elderly woman with a scary animal or inspire a photographer. There's actually 2 achievements related to these quests. A new adventure for completing Howard's quest, and friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for completing all of them. So Mysterio makes his return, and his attractions act as the game's combat trials. Thankfully, these were far better than Taskmaster's quests, and I at least had a reason to complete them. It doesn't matter what rank you get, as long as you complete it once, it will still count towards trophy completion. Completing all of these challenges unlocks Grand Finale. Data collecting was interesting enough. All you have to do is follow Kraven's birds for a set period of time. It gave me a challenge when using the wingsuit. The ending was the most interesting of all, as it at least set up a new Spider-Man villain. Crimson Hour was one of the most interesting side quests. If you never played the City That Sleeps DLC, you may be confused, so I do suggest you watch a recap of that. Once again, the best part was the ending, where they set up Carnage as a potential villain. Exterminator sucked. I hated it. There was no story to it. Enough said. Grains of Sand was very easy to complete, and I am glad. At least it tied up a story element from the main campaign. I actually liked Seek and Destroy. There's not a lot of stealth segments in this game, so I was happy to get some, with optional activities to make them easier. Foundational was pretty simple to do. It was nice that I was actually involved with EMF, and it wasn't just a plot point from the main campaign. My Community was an engaging side story. I liked that Miles was involved in helping the community, and that it made an impact for the local people. Plus, the unlockable suit was one of my favorites. Brooklyn Pride was really boring to me. I don't care about Miles' school, I don't care about the students you never interact with in the story, and the costume was really shit. Funky Wireless Protocols was a fun nod to the Spider-Verse films, where PlayStation Spider-Man has been referenced multiple times in the films. If you do struggle finding Spider-Bots, you can get an upgrade that shows them on the minimap. New York was quick to complete. I actually liked Robbie's stories about each location, and I would have preferred to have more of these. Co-signing was a good conclusion to the Prowler's activities. It was great to see Miles interact with his uncle, and patch things up since the previous game. One of the easiest achievements in the game is Splat. All you have to do is jump off a building, hold square, and let yourself hit the floor. Home Run is probably even easier. If you go to this area on the map, near Coney Island, simply run from right to left and reach home base. I found Saw to be quite simple. It does help to have the traversal upgrades, of course. The wind tunnels will do a lot of the work for you anyway. As Peter, you can get you know what to do at any time after the tutorial. All that's needed is to go to Aunt May's grave at the bottom of the map and interact with it. As Miles, you can get Just Let Go by going to this church and interacting with this Rubik's Cube. Since, this is a video game, how was the combat? Well, I can say it's definitely improved upon. However, I do think there was a cost to that. They got rid of like half the web abilities in favor of combat abilities that have a cooldown. Using Miles' new abilities to kill 100 enemies nets you evolved. Since the game swarms you with enemies, getting overdrive is pretty easy. You just have to press L1 and circle around 6 enemies. Key spots to do this are the Sandman memories or one of the 4 hunter bases. Doing the same with Peter's spider arm abilities will unlock Armed and Dangerous. Later in the story, you'll get the anti-venom suit. Defeating one enemy with anti-venom abilities unlocks you Antidote. You'll then need to continue to use Peter's Surge ability by pressing L3 and R3 and use his combat abilities to get Surge. One of my favorite abilities is the Web Line. It's a great addition to the game, where you can walk on a horizontal line anywhere it connects to. If you consistently use perch takedowns over the course of the story, you'll get Slackline. The amount of collectibles in this game were far smaller than the previous, and I am extremely grateful for that. The achievement Stylish is mandatory, since the game forces you to craft alternate suit colors. The suit colors were definitely a welcome addition that allowed for a touch more customizability to the game. By the end of the game, you'll more than likely have kitted out. Suits are unlocked for purchase by completing the main story, doing side missions, and leveling up to the max. To buy suits, you'll need tokens similar to the last game. As you complete side missions, you'll be able to purchase more suits with these tokens. Important note is that there are side mission completion rewards which go towards this achievement, a personal favourite being the Life Story suit. The same goes for web gadgets. If you've done every side mission, you'll have more than enough tokens to unlock to the max. I won't lie, I barely use web gadgets and was disappointed to see some of my favourites from the previous game stripped, like the impact web and the trip mines get replaced. The same process goes for obtaining all suit upgrades. Once you have enough tokens, buy all the upgrades and you'll get fully loaded. By the end of the game, you'll more than likely get the resourceful achievement for simply doing the story. If not, just do some side missions and it'll eventually unlock. All you need are 10,000 parts, which you get automatically from the main story and side missions. The final achievement I got was Hang 10, and all you have to do is hold the swing button, continuously swing, and hold the square button to perform tricks. Perform 30 tricks in a row without hitting the floor and you'll get this achievement. And that's Spider-Man 2. You can understand why it only took me 24 hours to complete, but I wanted to get this video done on release and hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you agree or disagree with my criticisms, please let me know down below. And if you do want to see more achievement breakdowns, subscribe and I'll have another one on the way.